Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Anheuser-Busch Productions. We're bringing you the Blind Hog Thanksgiving Throwdown here in beautiful Waynesville, North Carolina. Got Chris Dickerson, Anthony Hoff, Wes Monty, and Don Ray Henderson Jr. on the card. And as always, I'm joined with my broadcasting partner, Paul Kevin, aka Paul Rankin, as his actual name is. But why don't you go ahead and say hey to everybody, Paul?
Hey everybody, I'm excited to watch some golf.
Yeah, and this is a pretty exciting guy to watch right here. Chris Dickerson, 1038 rated, currently 6th in the world. He's down here in beautiful Waynesville, North Carolina. Looks like he's probably throwing a PA1 or something off this 291-foot par 3 to start it off.
Yeah, it looks like just a pretty straightforward short putter hyzer. Everybody's expecting to get this one. It's always a treat to watch Chris. He used to just be kind of the guy everybody talked about in Western North Carolina, Tennessee especially, but now everybody's starting to take notice of how good of a golfer he really is.
Yeah, and Anthony Hoff comes out right there, and he kind of pulls one a little bit to the left. He's going to have about a 40-footer for his 2 on this hole. This is Wes Monty. He's 956 rated.
Yeah, it looked like Anthony was really trying to swing that one wide and didn't quite get enough on it. Wes is trying the same approach, perhaps a driver or mid-range. This one looks like it's coming in nicely.
Yeah, he's going to have about 10 feet for his birdie.
That's really always how you want to start a round. Give yourself a putt that feels good to make, but not one that you're worried about missing. At least that's what I prefer.
100%. Anytime I can start off with a 10 or 15-footer, I'm happy. This is Don Ray Henderson Jr. Going more of the direct line. That's something a little bit different. He comes up maybe 35 to 40 short.
Yeah, right up the gut at it. We'll see. He's out, so maybe outside the circle.
Putt is up for birdie. Oh, cash.
It's a great way to start the day. You feel a little bit remiss if you just left your drive short, but thankfully he recovered nicely with that little jumper.
Looks like Anthony might have a little bit of a tree to contend with. I do know there's a birdhouse kind of in his line too, I believe. We are playing on a ball golf course, and a lot of times birdhouses and stuff are used to mark like the 100-yard mark or so.
Right.
He missed that one low, though, so he's going to have a tap in 3. Chris Dickerson, airmail.
Yeah, unfortunately that low ceiling was too much for Anthony. And Chris, I'm surprised that he was outside of the circle with his drive. I thought he was a little bit closer than that. But being Chris Dickerson, he's not going to miss that same putt twice in a row.
Yeah, it was essentially the same 34-footer. And, hey, there's a good start. Birdie for Wes Monty to kick things off. And he's already got a lead on Chris. Hey, he'd like the tournament to end right there.
Yeah, Wes and Don, a couple good shots and good putts. Chris wishes he could have that one back, I'm sure. But on to hole 2 now. This one looks like it's set up a little different than the starting hole, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. This is 606 feet. You got a lot of fairway to work with, but you do have to watch out for a couple things. Bunkers are OB. Anything to the right of this path that you're teeing off on is OB. And if you manage to get to the green, that is OB as well. Wes's shot, he inks it a little left, and he is almost in that bunker, but he avoids it.
Yeah, it looked like he was just going for a safe hyzer play, not trying to bite too much off, but still almost got penalized for it.
There is a path. Yeah, there's
quite a wide sidearm from Don.
There's a path over there that is OB, but he managed to actually be in between the path and the bunker. So he's in play. He's fine. Just has a very hyzer approach.
Yeah, it looked like he put himself in position where a lot of trees might be obstructing his lines. Looks like Chris is lining up for something big here, maybe a roller.
It is a roller play. And he lays it down quite nicely. He's got to watch out, though. He's actually rolling through the bunker. It pops out and rolls onto the green, OB. You can see it right there.
That is unfortunate, but fairways like this, it's always hard to predict how a roller is really going to react to bunkers and roots and things like that. Yeah, but I applaud his effort. It's always good to see someone play aggressive on these types of holes.
And this is early morning right now. We still got a lot of dew. It's still pretty cold out there, but the sun is shining through, and it's starting to warm up relatively fast. Anthony, he threw a nice one right down the middle, but he is first to throw for his second shot.
Yeah, it looks like he was definitely sacrificing distance for position. And on these sort of intermediate par 4s, I think that's usually the best way to play.
Yeah, he left his second shot a little short left. I think he's got about a 40-footer or so for a 3. Let's see what...
Don can get around these trees that he put himself behind.
He's basically got a straight hyzer approach into it. Sorry for the camera work, but that one was short left as well. Wes, you can see he's got a little bit of an awkward stance right there on the side of that bunker, but he didn't go in it, and he as well ends up short left. And there's Dickerson throwing his third shot, and puts it close enough. He's going to have about a 10-footer for his 4.
Yeah, even with the OB stroke, I'm sure that he was close enough that he was not worried about that. Saving his par is just routine for him.
Yep.
Of course, he was envisioning an eagle, but maybe next round.
There's a couple eagle opportunities on this course for sure. It's a lot different than in years past. Let's see if Don can capitalize on another long putt. This one just stays low all the way.
Just a little low. Yeah, it looks like he maybe had to lean out a little bit or putt around some obstacles, so who knows what he was dealing with. Looks like Wes is going to have a very similar look.
Oh, yeah. And very
looks
similar
like he
result.
had a hyzer around that brushy tree affecting his putt. Anthony seems to be unobstructed. We'll see if he can hit this.
About a 25-footer. Putt up. Putt good. Nice.
Good solid putt.
Yeah. That's one of those par 4s you would really like to get a 3 on, but it's not a gimme 3. I mean, you're watching 3 pretty good pros right here get 4s on it.
Right. Yeah, it's short enough and open enough that you feel like you really should birdie it, but it's no gimme. There's still things to contend with on your drive, and the approach tightens up as well.
We're just going to watch a few more cleanups right here. But this course, if you remember some coverage from last year, it was, I think it was a par 62. The course is shortened up a little bit this year. It's now only a par 60. There's a lot more par 3s, but it's a whole lot better of a course. I mean, it's just the shots make more sense. There's only a couple holes that I'm a little bit curious about, and this is kind of one of them right here. It's a par 4 at 440 feet. It's a little uphill. It probably plays closer to about 500 to 520. And anything left of the cart path that these guys are going to be teeing off from is going to be OB. Outside of that, you just got to watch out for bunkers.
Yeah, 440 feet, especially for players of this caliber, is awfully short for a par 4. We'll see if anybody can put it up there and have a look at an eagle bid. Looks like, as you mentioned, that OB cart path left may be coming into play, but oof.
He gets it close, but good stick from him right there. Yeah, like I said,
West stayed out of it.
It's a very deceptive 440. It plays probably closer to about 520 or so, and it's hard to get it all the way up to it. But I still feel like it's just one of those you need to get your 3 on. If you're not getting a 3 on it, you're messing up. But if there's a guy that can to it, it's going to be this guy right here. But pulls his drive a little.
Yeah, and of course, that's still going quite the ways, but it looks like it's offline enough that he's going to have a long jumper at best.
Yeah, I think he's about 70 out or so. Here's Anthony. Throwing from a good spot in the fairway. Just needs to hyzer it up to it. Oh, going a little long. That's OB. Uh-oh.
Yeah, and it looks like that's really the only major concern for these players is the OB off the tee on that path and then the OB near the green with the bunkers.
Yeah, Wes puts that one right under the basket, though. He's going to have a tap-in 3.
Yeah, great approach.
Don, his shot, right angle. He's got about a 20-footer left for his birdie.
Yeah, it looked like he could have put a little bit more on it, and maybe seeing his card mate throw into the bunker behind him had him a little bit worried about that approach. It's easy to let that get in your head.
Yeah, disc golf, I'm telling you, it's 90% mental once you get a pretty good game about yourself.
Yep, and Chris Dickerson showing that he is unfazed by the bad break he had on the previous hole as well as his card mates. He's just going to continue keeping his head down and playing his game. Looked like he didn't really try to give that too much of a run, though. I'm a little surprised he didn't give it at least a floaty bid, but...
Don, what are you doing? Low all the way. That one never had a chance of going in. He's going to have to take a par on this hole.
Yeah, that was a little disappointing. Maybe the bunker directly behind got in his head, but I don't think it was close enough for him to be worried about it.
Let's see if Anthony can capitalize on this par putt after going in the bunker. Sneaks it over the edge. It's good.
Yeah, dropped in that nose down putt right over the rim. And it looks kind of scary when it's going in, but I believe that if you can pull off that type of putt consistently, it's going to stay in the basket almost every time.
Apologies kind of for the weirdness of this display. I forgot to get pictures of a few of the hole things, so had to pull them off of Facebook. This one's a 423-foot par 3. It's downhill. You've kind of got basically a backhand hyzer line that you're going to be taking into the basket right here. Let's see if Wes can perform it. This one inking a little bit left, and it actually catches a tree and falls straight down. And you can see the basket now there right in the middle of the screen. The only thing that's OB on this hole is if you manage to throw it directly in front of you 50 feet onto the green. Outside of that, nothing is.
Yeah, and this is just a really picturesque hole. It's looks like a lot of fun to throw down there. Chris looks like he meant to hyzer that and maybe give it a little bit more height. I'm not sure, but either way, he left it quite wide out to the right.
Yeah,
not sure if he'll have a putt at it or not.
It actually got a decent little skip. I think he's going to have a decent look at it too, maybe from about 30 feet.
Okay. Yeah, and that is a big difference playing these golf course style courses that even if you're hitting, the green, the fairway, it doesn't really matter. You're going to get some kind of skip if you throw a driver on a little bit of an edge.
And here's a different line from the other three. This Don's going to be taking a flex forehand line right here.
It seems like Don's really been leaning on that sidearm so far, and it's been working for him. See if this one swings back all the way.
Yeah, didn't quite catch the end of that flight, but should have ended up somewhere near-ish to the basket. I think he's going to have himself about a 40-footer right here. We saw Wes's approach go a little bit long. And Don setting up his birdie look. That one's short as well.
Yeah, he hit a really good jumper early on, so I was hoping he could maintain that momentum, but looks like he's struggling a little bit now to get that putt up in the air.
Anthony,
great putt. What a putt from Anthony. No fear from him.
That's a good 2 on this hole. That's one of the harder par 3s on the course for sure.
Definitely.
You can see Chris, he's looking at maybe actually just outside a circle since he is doing that little bit of a step straddle putt looking thing.
Yeah, it definitely looks like he's setting up for some kind of falling straddle putt. Maybe he has to go around a tree and may have a ceiling to contend with. We'll see if he can get a good run on this.
I'm going to call it about 35 feet up. No doubt. Great putt.
And good. Yeah, that was just a pure putt straight in. No worries, really. Solid putt from him. That's what you expect. Even when players as good as him, even if they make a mistake, like pulling their tee shot a little bit wide, they're still able to recover. And saving those strokes is really significant over the course of an entire round.
For sure. And he is definitely good at making sure he doesn't pick up too many bad strokes throughout the day. This is going to be Don right here cleaning up his par as well. So we got 2 birdies, 2 pars on hole 4. Not too bad. Hole 5's 507 foot. This is another one of those tweener holes that if they just shortened it up and made it a long par 3, it might be good. But they don't really have much potential to push it back. But it's basically a big hyzer out and around and try to leave yourself some type of long eagle look into this hole.
Yeah, and this one, all of these players, of course, are expecting a 3. That's what they're really trying to get on these shorter par 4s. Tournaments like this, another thing to consider is that it's not just the open field playing these holes and these layouts. They have to design these holes with advanced players in mind, Masters players in mind, different people. So par may not always be tailored to the pro division.
Chris, he's thrown a big looping hyzer. It kind of finishes in the trees. He's going to have an eagle look in there.
Yeah, it looked like he was definitely trying to bite off as much as he could with that shot. We'll see how aggressive Anthony is here.
He's throwing it out wide enough, but it's just kind of staying wide. You can see it over there on the far right side of the screen. Finish. He's going to have about a 100-foot approach shot.
Yeah, you can see him walking out to the left trying to coax it that direction, but still a decent shot.
Wes, he puts a good run on this thing. That thing's going to skip up and leave probably 40 feet or so for an eagle. And Don, he flicks it. He might have that tree to contend with.
Yeah, so we missed the run-up, but Don, again, going with that flex sidearm play that he's used so heavily so far. And
And
it looks like he did find that tree a little bit, but he's on the outer edge of it, so he might have some kind of look still.
one thing to remember, this is a par 4, so no need to try to force anything in there to get something big. Wes eagle putt just misses.
Yeah, and it's too early in the round to try to do any crazy heroics, but just getting out there and giving yourself a look at birdie is all he needed. We'll see if Chris can capitalize on this eagle. The way he's lining up this putt, I'm sure he's really focused trying to get it.
That one sails to the left.
Just off.
Don, I think he's got a tree right in his way, maybe about 25 feet or so.
Yeah, it looks like he's straddling out to the right, taking advantage of the new lie rules from the PDGA, which I'm a big fan of, being able to stretch out a couple inches to the right of his mini. Smart play there. See if he can bank it around this tree and in.
Oh, off the top and off another tree. No good. He's going to have to settle for par. Anthony, though, he gets a birdie. Chris is going to grab a birdie, and I believe Wes should be able to make this little 4-footer right here as well and pick up a birdie of his own.
Yeah, so 3 birdies and 1 par. It's kind of what you would expect for this hole. Unfortunately, Don just landing in those trees and giving himself a tougher approach than he wanted. If he were just 6 feet to the left, probably he would have had a drop-in birdie as well.
Now we're running into a few holes back-to-back that are relatively short for a golf course. This one just 267 feet, not too much to worry about. If you go about 30 feet long, you are OB. And then anything short left, there is a small creek, but it shouldn't come into play too much. You're going to see a lot of these guys basically just throwing hyzers into it.
Sure, and like you said, there are some OB stretches to worry about, and there are some obstacles, but for these guys, they really are expecting to put this close and give themselves a good chance at a 2.
Yeah, Chris,
looks like Chris has done that.
Yeah.
Got a little bit more skip maybe than he was expecting, but he should still be in the circle.
He's barely in bounds, actually. He's like right on the edge of the path, but he's in bounds. And Anthony, he puts a nice one up there. See that one? That one's a little bit more left than you wanted. He's actually getting kind of close to that creek, but he misses it.
It looked like out of his hand, he knew he had kind of sailed that one, and luckily it dropped for him and didn't skip too much. But Don going with a backhand here. I'm surprised that as much as he's sidearmed that he didn't take the sidearm route again, but maybe it's just a distance thing for him that sidearm is his longer throw. Wow, a great putt there from Wes.
Yeah, we're seeing a couple good jump putts from this group so far.
Yeah, they certainly are not lacking in that regard.
Don,
I think each of them has hit a good jump putt so far this round, at least once.
Yeah, Don, he's missed a couple in a row. Let's see if he can get one back right here. Get him on the right track again. Putt up, and good.
Solid putt from him. Good height, good control, clean out of his hand. Sure that one feels good.
So, Chris Dickerson, I'm assuming he is at 32 feet 11 inches right here. He must be just outside of Circle 1.
Yeah, I'm sure that he knows where the circle is and that he's outside of it, but I'd swear he's only 20 feet from the basket.
Yeah. Well, he makes it either way.
Yeah, and that's something that you'll see from Chris a lot, is that it doesn't really matter a lot of times how far outside the circle is. I think he's just more comfortable with that motion, this small step putt. So even if he doesn't need the distance really, because I'm sure he could putt normally from that distance, he's still going to do that step through.
So now we got 3 players at 4 under, and then Don Ray down there at 2 under par. And now we come up to the shortest hole in the course, 201 feet, but it plays over water the entire way. You got a couple options. You can take either backhand or flick. I mean, it's wide open. Just go right at it. Don't throw it in the water, because anything in the water is an automatic re-tee.
And Chris going with the sidearm, which is, I would say, probably the preferred play for a lot of people, just fading back towards that inbounds. Of course, you can throw either way. There's not really anything in your way to force you to throw one way or another, but as you see there from Anthony, it's just a little harder for that backhand to always fade back towards the inbounds. He just left it a little short and followed the angle of the bank.
Second one he does get in, though, he should have a pretty short putt for bogey. Now you're going to see Wes. This is kind of the play which I saw a lot of people doing. Just kind of throw a backhand hyzer at that building because it's only about a 20-foot putt at that building.
Sure, and of course on a hole like this with OB short and the penalty just waiting for you if you miss it short, the play is to throw long. And
Yep.
you see Don did that as well, just playing the bank off the shed.
Yep.
He's rewarded with a short putt for his birdie.
And that one up and good. There you go. Picks up back-to-back birdies. And the rest of this group's going to be looking to tap out their putts as well. Anthony, though, he's going to have to settle for a bogey right there. He was just off-screen putting.
Yeah, and unfortunately that's just kind of the nature of this hole. It's deuce or die with that OB.
Yep.
Let's see if you can tap in from maybe 10 or so feet.
Ooh, he actually hit the top of the band and it slapped him down, but it stayed in. That's all that matters.
Gave it a little bit of a scare, but still counts as a 2 on the scorecard.
Yeah.
And Chris, no worries with that short tap in.
For sure, for sure. Now we move on to hole 8. And this one is a 261-foot hole that is a very interesting drive. You're actually not going to be able to see it because I don't have 2 cameras, and you actually need 2 cameras to watch the drive. It's basically a huge over-the-top like tomahawk or a stall backhand of some sorts that you have to do. I'm sorry that I'm not able to get the drive, but you can see where Anthony is throwing his second shot from is what you're supposed to go over, and he threw it directly into it. So now we got Don Ray taking his second shot from, looks about 50 or so.
Mid-range jump putt.
Oh, my goodness.
Looks good. Oh, perfect height, perfect release. Great putt from Don.
Was that like the 5th jump putt we've already seen go in?
At least.
And Wes, he actually went OB in that bunker. So he is putting 3 now. Okay, make that the 6th jump putt we've seen go in. Goodness gracious.
Man, I think that their statistics from outside the circle are much better than their percentages inside the circle, which is something you never see.
I would argue that. Like that's a very valid point. Let's see if Chris can keep those statistics going up. It looks like he's lining up another step putt right here. This one up. Looks pretty good.
Oh.
What?
You could even see him walking in. He was just ready to pull that one out of the chains. Instead, he's going to have to drop in another putt.
Yeah, that's not what he was looking for.
Yeah, just an inch, just a hair too low. I'm not sure if there was any sort of tailwind he was contending with or what, but it looked like he really was expecting that to drop in, and it didn't.
Anthony making a good par save after throwing his drive into the shul right off the tee box. Good job picking it up. Now we're on to hole 9. This one is a tight tee shot. You have to go kind of in between the two trees you see right up there, and you can either do a backhand turnover or just a hyzer flick the entire way. We'll probably see both shots off the tee box here. Don Ray with the tee box. He's going to show us the flick line. That one, kind of hard to follow it. Oh, there it goes, finishing off to the right. A little bit short, too. I think this is a mid-range of sorts, probably like an M4.
Yeah, it's got that nice slow turn, little fade back. Just a perfect shot from Chris.
Yeah. He put it underneath the basket, and Wes put it underneath the tree. That is not what he was looking for.
Yeah, unfortunate clipping the early tree, and he's going to have to put that one up close if he wants his par. But luckily, the branches don't appear to be hanging so low that he'll have to really worry about them for his approach.
Anthony, he's had a couple rough holes here. Let's see if he can get one back, and this one's looking pretty nice. Oh, yeah, he's left himself about 15 feet or so for a 2. Wes, he's got a little bit of a low overhang to deal with. He's got to throw it super hard on hyzer. I think he's looking for a skip right here. Gets it. He's probably about 25 or so.
Good play for him. I may have spoken too soon, and he did have to alter his shot with that low-hanging branch in front of him, but still made it work and used those golf fairways to his advantage playing the skip.
Path not OB on this hole, so Don Ray taking advantage of it. Jump putt. Wow! Again.
And that's a really pro play from him, knowing his strengths, just putting himself barely outside the circle on the surface that has the most grip. maximize his odds of making that putt for 2.
100%. That's what he was going for. Wes laying up from 25.
Yeah, and of course his mistake there was just being about 5 feet too close on his approach. And
oh no,
Anthony, that you hate to see that. That's too close for anybody to miss.
Yeah,
and hope that he can bounce back from that and not let it get into his head. It looked like he may have not given it the attention that putt deserved and just pushed it a little bit.
You know, Wes is not too happy about that bogey right there. Chris is going to be pretty happy about this tap-in birdie, though. Great way to finish off the front 9 for him.
Yeah, and Chris just making that hole look way too easy. But
that is the end of the front 9 here. Chris Dickerson, 6 under. Don Ray Henderson Jr. at 5. We got Wes Monty at 4 after the bogey. And Anthony, he is at 3 under. Paul Kevin, what you got to say about that front side?
It was really entertaining. Of course, Chris is playing well. Anthony and Wes had a lot of good holes. They had a few mistakes that they really should have cleaned up as well. We'll see if they can correct that on the back. And Don got off to a little bit slower start than the rest, but he's really picking up steam. I'm excited to see how he finishes this round out.
Yep, back 9 coming soon. Thanks everyone for watching.